One of the richest and most powerful charities on earth is facing a massive crisis of trust, and the United States government is finally demanding answers.
Yeah, I mean, we're watching the complete collapse of this firewall that used to protect elite billionaires from everyday accountability.
Right. So welcome to today's deep dive. Right now, it is April 2026, and the fallout from the Jeffrey Epstein scandal is shaking the foundations of global philanthropy. Here is your 90-second news hook.
Let's hear it.
The House Oversight Committee just called tech billionaire Bill Gates to testify. Billionaire investor Warren Buffett suddenly froze his massive financial support for the Gates Foundation.
Wow.
And at the exact same time, the Justice Department's internal watchdog just launched this sprawling investigation into how the government handled the recent release of millions of Epstein-related documents.
It is just a massive collision. You have federal probes crossing wires with high finance panic and, well, it is all threatening these massive globalist systems.
Exactly. So today we are taking your stack of sources, the news reports, congressional letters, foundation memos, and unpacking exactly what is happening behind closed doors.
Right. Getting past the spin.
If you have ever wondered how billionaire charity actually works, or what happens when the Washington establishment is forced to show its hand, this deep dive is for you.
We are keeping it simple, clear, and just focusing on the hard facts.
So let's start with the spark that ignited this whole current firestorm, which is the U.S. government's release of the Epstein Files and the absolute chaos that followed.
Yeah, to understand the chaos, you really have to look at the law that forced the government's hand in the first place.
Right.
Last November, President Trump signed the Epstein Files Transparency Act, and the mandate was crystal clear. It required the Justice Department to release all Epstein and Ghislaine Maxwell files within 30 days.
And 30 days is, an incredibly tight turnaround for a federal agency.
Oh, absolutely,
Right.
Especially for Washington bureaucrats. They predictably missed that deadline. Right. But they eventually released a starting batch of 11,000 files. And by January, they announced their final release, bringing the public archive to a staggering 2.7 million pages.
2.7 million pages. We are talking about raw evidence here. Flight logs, internal emails, financial transfers. It is an ocean of data.
It really is.
But the real controversy tearing through Washington right now is not about what they released. It is about the pages that just vanished after the fact.
Yeah, this is the crazy part.
I was looking at the media analysis in our sources. They found that the Justice Department quietly removed over 47,000 files from the database after they were already published.
Which translates to roughly 65,500 individual pages. Just gone.
Wow.
If you click the links to those files right now, you just hit a dead end. You get a basic page not found error on the DOJ website.
Okay, let's unpack this, because this sounds like trying to solve a massive 3 million piece puzzle, but the government dumps the pieces on the table and then secretly starts snatching tens of thousands of pieces back into the box.
That is a perfect way to put it.
No wonder the watchdog is stepping in. You cannot just unpublish documents in the internet age and expect everyday Americans not to notice.
Exactly. And the Inspector General's audit is stepping in because they want to know who ordered those pieces back in the box.
Right.
They are auditing the DOJ's entire process, how they collected the records, the automated tools they used to redact things, and, the chain of command that authorized deleting files the public had already seen.
Now, I read Acting Attorney General Todd Blanche's defense of this, and, he claims the department fully complied with the law.
Of course he does.
Right. He argues they had to claw back these specific pages to protect the sensitive information of victims, and he explicitly went out of his way to state they did not protect President Trump, and they didn't protect any other powerful figures.
Yeah, but that logic just falls apart.
It really does. If an investigation is that sensitive, how does a massive 65,000-page file accidentally clear the redaction desk in the first place?
It points to a total breakdown in government competence. They probably pushed the files live, realized their automated software missed some massive operational details, and just panicked.
And that panic completely destroyed whatever public trust was left in the DOJ. Which brings us to the House Oversight Committee.
Right. Chairman James Comer.
Yes. Comer isn't waiting around for the DOJ to sort out its own mess. He launched an active, aggressive investigation into this entire operation.
And he is casting a very wide net. The committee is looking into government mismanagement, the weird circumstances around Epstein's death in 2019, and potential ethics violations by officials who might have protected this ring.
I looked at Comer's witness list for these transcribed interviews, and it is a brilliant strategy.
It really is.
They are calling Commerce Secretary Howard Lutnick, They're calling Epstein's former assistant, Leslie Groff. They even subpoenaed Tovin Noel, the actual guard on duty the night Epstein died.
Yeah, they are squeezing this from every possible angle.
And sitting right at the top of that list is Bill Gates.
The ultimate billionaire whale.
Exactly. He is scheduled to appear between mid-May and early June 2026. They want to force Gates to explain, on the record, what he actually knew about these operations.
But these congressional subpoenas aren't just creating a headache in Washington. They're causing a massive financial earthquake.
Right, which shifts us to the billionaire backlash. When Congress actually demands answers, Wall Street gets very nervous.
Absolutely. And that explains why Warren Buffett just backed away from his biggest philanthropic tradition.
So Buffett historically donates a huge chunk of his Berkshire Hathaway shares to the Gates Foundation every June.
Every single June. It is a massive cornerstone of their funding. But now he says he is going to wait and see what unfolds with these Epstein files in the hearings.
Wow.
Yeah. He pointed out that the foundation is already sitting on an $86 billion endowment. And, he noted that Bill Gates has plenty of his own money.
Here's where it gets really interesting to me. Does losing Buffett's annual donation actually hurt an organization sitting on $86 billion? Or is this purely a devastating PR blow from the most respected investor in the world?
It's entirely about the public relations blow. It is the halo effect.
Right.
In the world of elite billionaires, charity is about buying societal goodwill. Buffett was the ultimate stamp of approval.
Like a shield.
Exactly. By freezing his donation because of the Epstein scandal, Buffett is pulling his halo away. He is protecting his own legacy from the fallout.
And the hits to that public image are coming from inside the house, too. Melinda French Gates just went on NPR's Wildcard podcast and called the release of these files a necessary reckoning as a society.
She even referred to the muck in her former marriage. She is stepping totally out of the blast radius and leaving Bill to answer for it.
Leaving him to fight the fire alone. And he's definitely trying to. He went on Australia's 9 News to forcefully deny some wild new rumors from the files.
The STD allegation.
Yeah, the files had allegations about Gates getting a sexually transmitted disease from, quote, Russian girls.
And Gates completely denied it. But his defense was incredibly strange.
It was bizarre. He claims that Epstein wrote a fake email to himself back in 2013 to try and extort Gates down the line.
Right, an extortion email that Epstein supposedly just kept in his own outbox.
Wait, really? An extortionist writes a highly damaging email to himself and then just never sends it?
That is what Gates is claiming. He told the network the email was false and was never sent.
I mean, that is a very difficult excuse for everyday people to swallow.
It sounds totally convoluted, and that is exactly why the Gates Foundation is now being forced to investigate itself.
Right. You have the congressional subpoenas, Buffett pulling his support, these embarrassing news cycles. The foundation just cannot ignore the noise.
So Foundation CEO Mark Sussman launched an independent external review. They were looking at their past engagement with Epstein and updating how they vet partnerships.
And they expect an update this summer. Bill Gates even had to apologize directly to his staff during a town hall in February.
Yeah, he called it a huge mistake. The foundation claims that while a small number of employees interacted with Epstein, they never officially partnered with him.
Right. They say they never employed him and never paid him. But Epstein promised to mobilize global health funding for them.
Which is a huge detail. And remember, the foundation already plans to close its doors entirely by 2045.
They're capping costs and trying to figure out how to spend down $86 billion. But this brings us to the philanthropic reckoning, which is really the most critical part of this deep dive.
Absolutely.
How does this Washington, D.C. political scandal actually impact the rest of the world?
Well, you have to connect the dots to the broader global health community. The files revealed something terrifying about how these elites operate.
Right, the intelligence connection.
Yes. The files showed Epstein actually received sensitive intelligence regarding Pakistani military operations.
Why does a New York financier have Pakistani military secrets?
Exactly. Because he was acting as a back channel, facilitating the Gates Foundation's access to the Taliban for polio eradication efforts.
So, what does this all mean? It feels like the halo effect of billionaire charity is totally fading. It is like finding out the wizard behind the curtain who funds global health is actually a massive liability to the cause.
It is a massive liability.
Yeah.
If you are a parent in Pakistan and you find out the elite billionaire network organizing your kids' vaccines is dealing in military intelligence, you are going to be suspicious.
Of course, it justifies all that anti-vaccine sentiment in those regions.
Exactly. People remember back in 2011 when the CIA used a fake vaccination campaign to gather DNA while hunting Osama bin Laden?
Right, that permanently damaged trust in Western medicine over there.
So when these Epstein files show a convicted trafficker passing military intel while negotiating vaccine access for a billionaire charity, it proves those suspicions aren't just crazy conspiracy theories.
It is real, and it fuels massive resistance to these health programs.
Trust is the only currency public health has. When elites play these games, trust evaporates, and diseases like polio spread wildly.
Critics are looking at this and arguing that elite philanthropy needs a total overhaul. Some are even demanding Gates step down from his own foundation.
Because the risks of these billionaires' private lives are being passed on to the systems trying to solve global crises.
It is a complete collision of extreme wealth, government cover-ups, and global survival.
It really is.
You have a transparency law signed by Trump only for bureaucrats to secretly delete tens of thousands of pages. You have Chairman Comer issuing subpoenas to hold these elites accountable.
And Wall Street titans freezing billions to protect themselves.
Exactly. So as we wrap up, we want to leave you with this thought to ponder on your own.
Yeah, as the world waits for Bill Gates and these other figures to testify before Congress this summer, we have to ask a hard question.
How does the global health system function if its biggest financial engines become permanently tainted by elite scandal? When the money used by globalist organizations to push health mandates is linked even indirectly to horrific crimes and secret intelligence back channels, can the public ever fully trust the solutions they offer?
That is the million-dollar question.
Thank you for joining us on this deep dive. Keep questioning the structures of power around you. And remember, sometimes the puzzle pieces the government tries to take off the table are the exact ones you need to see the whole picture.